On the afternoon of the 30th day of the Lunar New Year, KYHOI, in 2019, which fell on February 4, 2019, at Muang Thon Market, one of the oldest wholesale markets in Dien Bien Phu City, Dien Bien Province. The atmosphere became more bustling and crowded than usual due to the New Year shopping activities of the local people. Amid the modern kiosks and traditional stalls of the ethnic groups in Dien Bien was a small stall selling Tet chickens belonging to the family of Mrs. Tran Thi Hien, residing in Team 5, Tan Hung Commune, Dien Bien District, Dien Bien Province. Helping Mrs. Hien was her daughter, Cao Mỹ Duyên, born in 1997, a student at Thái Nguyên University of Agriculture and Forestry, who was home for the Lunar New Year holiday. At around 5:30 p.m. on the 30th day of the Lunar New Year, February 4, 2019, the market had begun to quiet down. A strange man approached the chicken stall, expressing interest in purchasing a large quantity for Tet and requesting home delivery. To facilitate communication, he asked for Duyen's phone number. At approximately 6 p.m. the same day, the unidentified man who had met her at the market earlier in the evening called Duyen and requested her to deliver exactly 13 chickens to the C13 market area, Group 10, Tan Trong Ward, Dien Bien Phu City, about 4 kilometers from Muang Thon Market. 30 minutes later, around 6:30 p.m., Duyen set off on her Honda Wave motorbike, license plate 27H17407, carrying the chickens to the agreed location. She was wearing a white jacket and a blue helmet. More than 2 hours later, at around 8:45 p.m. on February 4, 2019, just hours before New Year's Eve, Duyen still had not returned home. The family repeatedly called her phone, but she did not answer. By approximately 10 p.m. that evening, still unable to reach her or see her return, Duyen's mother, Mrs. Tran Thi Hien, reported the matter to the police. According to the information provided by Mrs. Hien, her second daughter, Cao Mỹ Duyên, had been out delivering chickens for over 2 hours and had gone missing. Upon receiving the information, the police recognized signs of danger and mobilized a large force to search for the victim. The police department of Dien Bien Phu City dispatched a task force from the Criminal Police Division, along with officers from the 3 wards of Muang Thon, Tan Binh, and Tan Trong, to trace the route from Duyen's family's chicken stall to the address of the man who placed the order. In addition to the police, local community protection teams from the 3 wards of Muang Thon, Tan Binh, and Tan Trong, together with nearly 300 volunteers, coordinated with Duyen's family to search through boarding houses, over 90 motels, hotels, warehouses, and abandoned houses. However, no trace of the young woman was found. The Directorate of the Dien Bien Provincial Police also instructed traffic police across the province to check whether Duyen had taken her motorbike out of the area or whether anyone was using her vehicle. Despite their efforts, the authorities were unable to find any leads. Given that the incident occurred in an area near the border, the Dien Bien Police even sought the cooperation of Laotian police to search for the victim, suspecting that Duyen might have been deceived and trafficked across the border. From New Year's Eve to the early morning of the first day of Tet, from the night of February 4, 2019, to the early morning of February 5, 2019, the search and inspection efforts in the 3 wards of Muang Thon, Tan Binh, and Tan Trong yielded no results. The authorities expanded the search to the remaining wards of Dien Bien Phu City. On the first day of Tet, February 5, 2019, the Dien Bien Phu City Police reviewed 250 individuals under their management, created photo profiles of suspicious individuals, and sent them to Cao Mỹ Duyên family for identification. The police also issued a notice to search for the missing person and any items related to Duyen. Over 7,000 leaflets were distributed to households across communes in Dien Bien District and Dien Bien Phu City. At 9 a.m. on February 6, 2019, the second day of the Lunar New Year, a local resident discovered a motorbike in a field in the area of Team 18, Nung Luang Commune, Dien Bien District, Dien Bien Province, and suspected it to be Duyen's delivery bike. They immediately reported it to the police. Notably, this location was quite far from Muang Thon Market, where Duyen sold chickens, approximately 14 kilometers away, and about 18 kilometers from C13 Market, where Duyen had delivered chickens and lost contact. However, the owner of the motorbike remained untraceable. At around 10 a.m. on February 7, 2019, after hearing the desperate cries of a woman named Bui T. Kim Tu, residents gathered and found the body of Cao Mỹ Duyên in a pigsty of an abandoned house near National Highway 12, in Team 11, Thanh Nua Commune, Dien Bien District, Dien Bien Province. This location was also very far from where Duyin's motorbike had been found earlier, more than 20 kilometers apart, and in completely opposite directions. On February 8, 2019, recognizing this as an exceptionally serious case, the Dien Bien Provincial Police reported to the Ministry of Public Security Leadership and established a special investigation case, coded 219D. Approximately 150 criminal investigators in the province were mobilized. Additionally, the Ministry of Public Security directed the Criminal Police Department and the Technical Operations Department to send officers to support Dien Bien Provincial Police during the investigation. The Special Task Force formed multiple teams to reach out to the local community and encourage citizens to report any criminal activity. Simultaneously, Dien Bien Provincial Police continued to review thousands of suspects, particularly those with criminal records involving rape, murder, robbery, or extortion, as well as anyone with conflicts or connections to the victim or her family. Furthermore, investigators worked with households along the provincial road 279 to retrieve footage from security cameras, especially from the evening of the 30th Lunar New Year, February 4, 2019. After completing the autopsy procedures, the body of Cao Mỹ Duyên was returned to her family for burial. During the funeral, the victim's family was deeply mournful. Notably, the investigation team reported that a strange man was present at Cao Mỹ Duyin's funeral. Although he displayed a sorrowful demeanor, he kept glancing around and exhibited suspicious behavior. When approached by detectives, the man claimed he was there to collect small change. In the days following Cao Mỹ Duyin's funeral, her mother, Mrs. Tran Thi Hien, decided to livestream on social media, speaking about the crime scene where her daughter had been kidnapped and murdered. Mrs. Hien also posted pictures grieving her daughter, garnering thousands of likes, shares, and followers from the online community. Her calm demeanor during the livestream, which starkly contrasted with her earlier devastated state, led investigators to feel that something was not quite right about her behavior. Returning to the data collection effort, on February 8, 2019, a task force from Thanh Trong Ward Police, Dien Bien Phu City, discovered a cargo rack, a chicken cage, and a white sack suspected to belong to the victim when she was delivering goods. These items were discarded in a vacant lot along the roadside in Group 11, Thanh Trong Ward, very close to the location where the man had arranged to meet Duyên to collect the chickens at C13 Market. On February 10, 2019, after reviewing security camera footage along multiple routes, the Dien Bien Criminal Police obtained a crucial video from a shop in the Ban Phu Market area, Team 16, Nung Het Commune, Dien Bien District, Dien Bien Province. The video, lasting nearly 1 minute, showed a man transporting 2 chicken cages into the house of Mr. Vong Van Nia, a resident of the area. Immediately, Dien Bien Police implemented covert investigative measures. The motorbike driver entering Mr. Nia's house was identified as his nephew, who addressed him as his maternal uncle. The individual was Vong Van Hung, born in 1984. Hung had a troubled past, being a drug addict with 4 prior convictions and numerous arrests. At the time of the incident, Hung had been out of prison for about 4 months, following his release on charges of illegal drug trafficking. Vong Van Hung was immediately detained. The police also searched the home of Mr. Vong Van Nia. The search yielded numerous critical pieces of evidence, including a motorbike driven by Vong Van Hung, an ATM card in the victim's name, a motorbike registration document in the name of Cao Van Hong, the victim's father, 8 live chickens, 5 chickens that had already been slaughtered, a chicken cage, and various other related items hidden in multiple locations. It seemed that the perpetrator had been caught and the case would soon be closed. However, after being arrested, Vong Van Hung continuously gave inconsistent statements, changing his story repeatedly. This led the investigation team to suspect that the case held many hidden complexities and would be extremely intricate. Initially, Vong Van Hung claimed that on the evening of February 4, 2019, the 30th day of Tet, he had arranged for Duyên to deliver chickens to the C13 market area, Thanh Trong Ward, Dien Bien Phu City. However, the investigative team found his statement unconvincing. If Hung had killed for robbery, why didn't he sell the chickens he stole? Why did he discard the victim's motorbike far away instead of using or selling it? The first forensic examination report revealed that the victim was believed to have died within 12 to 24 hours before her body was discovered. If Hung had indeed killed her on the night of the 30th day of Tet, then by the time the body was found at 10 a.m. on February 7, 2019, nearly 3 days, over 60 hours, would have passed. The timeline didn't match, leaving the case shrouded in mystery. While the investigation was still riddled with questions, the victim's mother, Mrs. Heen, actively took to social media, asserting that the suspect arrested was not the mastermind behind the crime. On February 10, 2019, upon re-evaluating the case details, the Dien Bien Criminal Police focused their attention on a woman named Bui T. Kim Tu. According to the chief of police in Tan Nua Commune, Dien Bien District, Bui T. Kim Tu was the first person to discover Cao Mỹ Duyin's body, alerting others and reporting the matter to the police. Coincidentally, the house where the victim's body was found belonged to the family of Bui T. Tom, the younger sister of Thu's husband. This house had been abandoned for a long time and was located just 100 meters away from Bui T. Kim Thu's residence. According to the Tan Nua Commune police chief, both Tu and her husband were present at the scene when the authorities arrived. Tu told those around her that she was the one who discovered the body. Even her husband, Bui Van Kong, angrily commented, "These people are monsters. If caught, they should be executed by firing squad." Later, at their home, Bui T. Kim Tu, her husband, and some neighbors continued to discuss Cao Mỹ Duyin's body. Tu recounted, "It was purely accidental. I went up there, and then I saw it. I saw it first. I still think the body was just lying there, flat on her back like this. The helmet was covering her face. And on her hand, it was like this." At this point, the investigators gathered more information about Thu's husband, Bui Van Kong, born in 1975, a well-known drug addict in the area. Kong worked as a freight transporter and owned a 1.25-ton truck with the license plate 27CO3475. The special investigation team decided to discreetly monitor Kong and Tu for further evidence. The investigators coordinated with traffic police to create a scenario for conducting an administrative inspection and issuing a violation report against Bui Van Kong. Afterward, they brought Kong to the police station to examine his truck. Upon inspection, the police discovered 2 dried bloodstains in a concealed location on the bed of the 1.25-ton truck with license plate 27CO3475. These samples were secretly sent for forensic analysis. Afterward, Kong returned home as usual. Kong even casually confided to his neighbors that the police had inspected his truck, but he didn't know why. While awaiting the forensic results of the blood samples from Kong's truck, the police continued to monitor his activities and discovered that, in the following days, several strange men frequently visited Kong's house. Through verification, the individuals identified were Pham Van Niem, born 1976, Luong Van Hung, born 1991, Luong Van Le, born 1993, Pham Van Dung, born 1972, and Cam Van Chuong, born 1974. All of them were drug addicts, like Kong. Notably, Luong Van Le was the person who had attended Cao Mỹ Duyin's funeral to collect small change. On February 17, 2019, forensic results revealed that the blood samples found on the bed of Bui Van Kong's truck matched the victim, Cao Mỹ Duyên. Consequently, the investigative agency had sufficient grounds to issue a detention order against Bui Van Kong. Also on February 17, 2019, the Dien Bien Provincial Police arrested several of Kong's drug-using friends, including Pham Van Niem, born 1976, Luong Van Hung, born 1991, and Luong Van Le, born 1993, for using drugs at Bui Van Kong's house on February 13, 2019. However, Pham Van Dung, born 1972, and Cam Van Chuong, born 1974, did not participate in this drug use and were not arrested. Nevertheless, these 2 individuals were placed under surveillance by the investigators. The arrests of Niem, Hung, and Le were primarily aimed at investigating their potential involvement in the Cao Mỹ Duyên case. After their arrest, all the suspects, including Bui Van Kong, Pham Van Niem, Luong Van Hung, and Luong Van Le, initially claimed they knew nothing and had no connection to Cao Mỹ Duyin's case. Particularly, Bui Van Kong pretended to have drug withdrawal symptoms, feigned muteness, and faked illnesses to avoid providing testimony. Therefore, the task force decided to isolate each suspect for further questioning. When delving deeper into the main crime scene, a surprising new testimony emerged from Vong Van Hung, the first suspect arrested in the case. Hung stated that the location where Cao Mỹ Duyên was murdered was actually an abandoned house near the Doc Lap Hill area, beside a ditch, and not the C13 market area in Ton Trong Ward, as he had previously claimed. The three suspects, Luong Van Le, Pham Van Niem, and Luong Van Hung, also began confessing to the crime. They further claimed that after murdering Cao Mỹ Duyên, some items related to the victim were wrapped and discarded into the ditch beside the scene. The task force immediately went to the location to verify. Inside the abandoned house, investigators found many suspicious bloodstains and several cigarette butts. At first glance, the location seemed highly plausible as the main crime scene. However, the blood samples collected were found not to belong to Cao Mỹ Duyên. Thus, at this point, the suspect's statements did not align with the evidence at the scene, raising an even larger question about the truth of the case. Alongside interrogating the suspects, on February 17, 2019, investigators made a highly difficult decision to exhume the victim's body. This action faced widespread criticism, as most locals believed that the initial autopsy had been conducted carelessly, leading to the need for exhumation. The decision was perceived as disrespectful to the deceased and as exacerbating the pain of the victim's family. However, to maintain the confidentiality of the investigation, the Dien Bien Provincial Police did not issue any statements addressing the public's frustrations at that time. Only later, when the case was fully solved, did the investigators and forensic experts explain that the purpose of the exhumation was to clarify additional details, which ultimately led to uncovering the true clues in the case. The investigative agency raised many questions, including three major concerns. First, based on the survival instinct of humans, why did the victim show no signs of resistance when kidnapped and faced with life and death? Evidence from the initial autopsy seemed to show no clear traces of struggle. The police had to exhume the body to collect biochemical samples and organ tissues to determine whether the suspects had administered sleeping pills, poisons, or drugs to the victim. Second, clarifying whether the victim was sexually assaulted by the suspects became one of the most pressing questions for the Dien Bien Provincial Police throughout the investigation. Third, Vong Van Hung claimed he used a steel wire to strangle Cao Mỹ Duyên, but the evidence in the photos from the initial crime scene did not match this claim. Furthermore, when investigators searched for the steel wire mentioned in Hung's confession, it was not found. Thus, the police needed to exhume the body to conduct microanalysis of the injuries on the neck to verify Hung's statement. However, exhuming Cao Mỹ Duyên body for re-examination was a challenging task for the authorities. They faced not only public outrage but also strong opposition from the victim's family. Even though the head of the Criminal Police Department and the chief of the Dien Bien District Police personally met with the victim's mother, Mrs. Tran Thi Hien, to seek her family's consent, she initially refused. Even a direct phone call from Major General Sung A Hong, then director of the Dien Bien Provincial Police, failed to persuade her. However, after detailed analysis and many hours of persuasion from the family's lawyer, the victim's mother finally agreed, on the condition that a lawyer would oversee the process from beginning to end. Upon re-examination, the three main questions raised by the investigative agency were clarified. Tests on biochemical samples and organ tissues revealed no traces of sleeping pills, poisons, or drugs in the victim's body. The investigation determined that the victim might have initially resisted, but later succumbed due to being overpowered, leaving her physically weakened. The marks on the victim's neck were consistent with being strangled twice, but by a different object, not the steel wire as Vong Van Hung had previously claimed. Notably, during the autopsy process, the task force observed that Mrs. Hien, the victim's mother, was crying constantly but later blurted out the phrase, "My daughter died with honor." This detail raised suspicions among investigators, who began paying closer attention to her behavior. Once the exhumation and re-examination of the body were completed, investigators uncovered additional details about the case and pressed the suspects further. After determining that the object used to strangle Duyên was not the steel wire as Vong Van Hung had claimed, the suspects again altered their statements. Luong Van Hung stated that Vong Van Hung had used a nunchaku with iron chains to strangle her. Bui Van Kong still refused to confess, claiming he was not involved. Investigators promptly located and seized the nunchaku, sending it for forensic analysis, which confirmed the presence of Cao Mỹ Duyin's biological material on the weapon. The investigative team continued questioning the suspects about who had fed the victim, as the initial autopsy revealed that her stomach contained partially digested food. After several rounds of interrogation, Luong Van Hung, Luong Van Le, and Pham Van Niem admitted that after abducting Duyen, the group had raped her. They further confessed that Pham Van Dung, born 1972, and Cam Van Chuong, born 1974, also committed acts of sexual assault against the victim. Shockingly, the suspects also revealed that Bui T. Kim Tu, Bui Van Kong's wife, was aware of the entire incident. In fact, Tu was the one who fed Duyen and washed her. This revelation stunned many people, as Tu had initially claimed to have discovered the body, raised the alarm, and consistently displayed anger and sympathy over Duyen's death. Based on the suspect's confessions and verified evidence, Bui T. Kim Tu, born 1975, was arrested on March 20, 2019. On March 21, 2019, the police arrested Pham Van Dung and Cam Van Chuong after a period of surveillance and investigation. As of this time, 8 suspects involved in the Cao Mỹ Duyên case had been apprehended. Immediately after her arrest, Bui T. Kim Tu repeatedly exhibited signs of mental illness. Furthermore, her family submitted a request for a psychiatric evaluation for her. The Dien Bien Provincial Police sent Tu for an inpatient forensic psychiatric assessment, which took nearly a month. This delay significantly affected the progress of the investigation. However, the forensic psychiatric evaluation concluded that Tu was not mentally ill and had full capacity for awareness and self-control. Although by this point, 8 suspects, including Vong Van Hung, Bui Van Kong, Pham Van Niem, Luong Van Hung, Luong Van Le, Pham Van Dung, Cam Van Chuong, and Bui T. Kim Tu, had been arrested, and some had confessed to their crimes, the investigation team still could not determine who played the leading role in orchestrating the crime. Has the case reached its conclusion? Who is the true mastermind among these 8 suspects? Or is there still a leader who has yet to be apprehended? This is just the beginning of the thrilling twists to come. Everything will be revealed in part 2 of the case. Please like, follow, and share to join us in uncovering this shocking secret.